Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the Meta channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. In this video, we are going through the last of the Dark States support, which is Greedon of course. Now Greedon in DBT04 does receive like the short end of the stick because the overall gameplay for the deck does not really change as much, but it does change quite a little, but not to the point where it's completely changed the whole deck. Nevertheless, even though Greedon does receive the short end of the stick, it's still really scary. Let's take a look. First off is Desire Devil Yada, auto rearguard circle. When your Vanguard attacks, if you have 3 or more stand units, retire this unit soul charge 2. Choose up to one card with the same name as your Vanguard from your soul and put it on top of the deck. This card is a little bit weird to be running in a Greedon deck because it's the only thing that he does is basically let you soul charge 2 by retiring himself, as well as choose another copy of whatever is in your Vanguard goes back to the top deck. So it's a little bit weird for this card to be run. Also, in order to use this card, you need to have almost a full fill in order to fully maximize the usage, because it says you need 3 or more stand units. With Greedon needing 4 units, and plus Yada will be retiring himself, you basically will need a full board in order to maximize the usage of this card, because he needs to retire himself to soul charge 2 and Greedon needs to suck in 4 standing rear guards. In honest, this card is really weird to be run in Greedon. Next up, we have a Blitz Order, Shining Selfishness. You need to pay 4 Soul Blast in order to use this Blitz Order, which is not really cheap. Choose one of your Vanguard and it gets 5k power until the end of that battle for each card in your damage zone. So this Blitz Order in a Greedon deck is going to be a 30k shield, because since you're able to eat up to 6 damage and then you get 5k power for each card in a damage zone, you basically get a 30k power boost, or 30k shield in a sense. It's a really beefy amount of shield. But then the problem is that it's really awkward to run any orders in Greedon, because Greedon is kind of the deck there that is really hungry for units to be on the field in order to use his skill. If you want to run this card, it will mean cutting out some of the units card that you have, so it's going to be really awkward in some certain scenarios where you can't really like call out a 4 units on the board and then not use Greedon. So it's really, this card, although it's really great, but then it's not great at the same time. Also, the cost is pretty much negligible because Soul Blast 4, if you do not really like recklessly Soul Blast out by using other cards in the deck, you should be able to have 4 Soul Blasts by the late game, because you will tend to have a lot of soul if you keep using Greedon turn after turn after turn. This is not a bad Blitz Order, but then you might need to consider what unit you are cutting out just to play a 30k shield that could only be used in the late game. So it's really up to you on what you want to play. Next up, we have Desire Devil Besshii, active rearguard circle. If you have 5 or more units, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of a Vanguard and it gets 5k power until the end of turn. If your damage zone has 6 cards, it gets 15k instead of 5k. You are able to use Besshii skill when you have 4 rearguards in total, including this card, because the requirement to activate Besshii skill does takes the Vanguard into account. In the early game, I don't think you would want to spend that 1 counterblast for a 5k, because, well, there are better things to spend your counterblast than just the 5k. And if you are in 4 damage, Bubetsuu power up for free, so I don't think the 5k really matters all too much. However, once you reach the late game, the 15k power does matter a little bit, because sometimes you do not have the 10 soul, so sometimes you do not really have the 10 or more soul count when Greedon restands. So by paying 1 counterblast to give Greedon a 15k power, it's gonna make Greedon that much bigger. And of course, the 15k power does carry forward to when Greedon restands, so it's not too bad. However, the issue still remains because Bubetsuu basically is free of cost and gives a total of 20k power if you have 4 Bubetsuu in the soul. So I don't think you would want to run this unit, because Counterblast 1 for 5k, not really the best. Next up, we have Desire Devil Gamettsu, active active rearguard circle once per turn. If your Vanguard is Avaricious Demonic Dragon Greedon, cost counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand. Choose a grade 3 or less card from your soul and call it to rearguard circle. Now this card is a really great toolbox for whatever card is in your soul. The perfect example here is gonna be that one Goemon from your right line in your soul to be called out. This card is really great in calling out Goemon and therefore give the god restriction to Greedon. It's actually really good. I would say this is the perfect combo, unless of course there are other cards that basically gives you more utility or offensive power than Goemon. Then yeah, this card is a really great toolboxing. And since you will be calling out some useless cards for Greedon skill anyways, for example, like some of the times you would want to call any type of triggers or maybe some other stuff that is basically just not really great. Since you are going to call that card out, why not just pay 1 counterblast and discard that card to call something really good from the soul? In this example would be Goemon, which is perfectly done. This card could be a nice tag-in option, although it's not really as game breaking as some of the supports that Greedon receive, but then it's still a really solid option to be run in Greedon. Do give it a try. Next up we have Desired Devil Walzure. Auto Soul. When your Greedon is placed on Vanguard Circle, cost counterblast 1 and call this card to rearguard circle. Does not activate if you ride when this card is on Vanguard Circle. So this is basically a upgraded version of Direful Doll Violetta, because you know both of them have the same cost, just that one does needs you to ride into Greedon in order to call himself out from the soul. The other one is basically you needing to be at 10 or more souls in order to call her out from the soul. And since both of them are just gonna be fodders for Greedon anyways, the power differences does not really matter as much. Walzure does helps with mitigate the cost for Greedon because, well, not really negate, but you're basically trading 1 counterblast for a hand because you don't have to call that one card, so it's really not too bad. But then there is also the deck space issue, because you have stuff like the big serpent, the Desire Devil Serpent, that might be better than this card, and also you have Time Jared Dragon that is giving you a soul while also letting you draw new cards from the deck. It's probably so much better than whatever this card is offering. Next up we have the double R, Desire Devil Kenen. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, during your main phase, cost counterblast 1, look at the top card of your deck and call it a rearguard circle. At the end of that turn, retire that called unit. Now, this, of course, as you have already understand by what he's doing, he basically helps with mitigating the cost for Greedon. It's basically call counterblast 1, check the top of the deck, call whatever deck card out to the rearguard circle. And the top deck calling part is mandatory. If you want to pay that 1 counterblast, you do not have the chance to basically either put it to bottom deck or put it to the top deck. That is not going to be the case, because it's pretty much mandatory. And also it does helps you save some hand resources, because this unit is basically a 1 for 2 unit, because you call him out, you counterblast 1, you check the top deck, call, boom, you have 2 rearguards already. And since you will be putting that call unit from rearguard to soul anyways by using Greedon skill, so the retire pot is there and not there at the same time, if that makes sense. This deck could technically also apply some early aggression, because you basically just call him out and counterblast 1 to check whatever is on the top deck, and then call that card out to basically attack your opponent. However, you also will be retiring that call unit if you do choose to do so, but then it is an option. It's not really that great, because you want to save this as many resources as you can when you reach Greedon, because Greedon eats the deck like no tomorrow. So yeah, that's basically the things that you need to think about when you're playing Kenen. Next up, of course, is Desire Devil Bubetsuu, the triple R. Auto rearguard circle once per turn. When your other rearguard is put into your soul by Vanguard's ability during your turn, cost counterblast 1, choose a card from your hand, call it to an open rearguard circle. And if your soul has 10 or more cards, draw a card. May be used even if this unit is put into your soul at the same time as other units. So this card single-handedly allows Greedon to attack for a third time instead of just the double swing with Greedon. So what this means is that you basically will need 3 Bubetsuu on the rearguard circle in order to allow Greedon to attack for a third time, and basically put all 3 Bubetsuu into the soul by using Greedon skill, and by paying 3 counterblasts, you're able to call 3 cards from the top of your deck and then draw 1 if you have 10 or more soul. You could also combine with Muka for ease of setting up, which is this card, the Angry Boy himself, because technically it's counterblast 1, and instead of relying on whatever is in your hand by using Bubetsuu, you actually could call Muka out with Bubetsuu, and then Muka can pay 1 counterblast and 2 soul blasts, call whatever is in your soul. If your hand is like a lot of triggers, you don't really want to call out that trigger, so you could just call whatever is in your soul just for that one fodder to allow you Greedon to attack the 3rd time, or simply just have a bigger rearguard swing. That's one of the options. However, this also begs the question on whether or not do you want to focus on the Vanguard attack or the rearguard attack, because you could technically just call rearguards out and then attack your opponent right then and there. Or you can just call them out and then just suck them back to the soul just to allow Greedon to attack the 3rd time. So it's basically up to you. At this point, I can't really put my finger on which one did I go for, but I think it's pretty much very flexible. Overall, it's not too bad, but it's not really as strong as the other decks that has received support this set. For example, Gravidia. Yeah, Greedon got the short end of the stick for DBT04. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section on what do you think for Greedon. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course do ring the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.